Hello there, it's me TFR Wilderness coming to you again with another KTRT review. Yes, here's the second of this month's KTRTs that I've got in, and actually I've got a little bit something different to this review. It's not just a review of one toy, it's like a comparison with the two previous versions of this particular character figure. Well, when I say character, I mean this robot toy is not a sentient robot, it's kind of a mech because it has like like someone inside driving it, so technically it's not a sentient robot, but it's referred to as a bot. So let's get on with it. Right, so gone back to my that old series that I've had a bit of a hit and miss with the toy lines. Miniforce, yes, Miniforce. It's a series in Korea that's been going for a number of years now. It's a blatant rip-off of Power Rangers, though it does have enough unique stuff about it. Basically, you've got these four little miniature creatures that live in this house with this girl, and they have all sorts of crazy stuff that goes on, and then they get the call to go into Miniforce HQ, and then they turn into these like Power Ranger type beings, and they go and fight aliens, and then all of a sudden the aliens get out their giant mechs or their giant monsters, so they get into these vehicles that then transform into robots, and then those robots then combine into a bigger robot for like the final battle. And it's a fairly generic show, but it's a bit silly in places, but it's a pretty fun show. Anyway, this show is now, well, actually it's done like 4 seasons, and they're going into the 5th season with a totally new direction. They're going for Dinobots in season 5, but for seasons 1 and 2, now the character that I'm going to be reviewing is Voltbot. Now he is the robot that is driven or controlled by Volt or Bolt, because sometimes there was a bit of ambiguity in his name, but I'm just going to refer to him as Volt. Anyway, so in seasons 1 and 2, this was his car mode, and I've got this guy reviewed it a while back. So that was his original vehicle. Then that was like seasons 1 and 2, and then for season 3 we got Miniforce X. And then Voltbot got one of this. He got the Miniforce X Voltbot. So it's this. This is his car mode for season 3. And finally, the subject of today's review, season 4, where the Miniforce X line continue, but they got a completely new set of robots to mess around with, and they called it Penta X. Because it's got, instead of the combiner being made up out of 4 units, it's now made up out of 5 units. So Volt got another, and this is the subject of today's review. This is season 4, Miniforce Penta X Voltbot. So this is his alt mode, and as you can see, it's a big blue Humvee. Now it's got a lot of moulded detail on it. Well, sort of soft moulded detail, not complex. The front end obviously doesn't look like a regular grille. It's basically the chest plate of the robot. And on the back, and then underneath, it's like folded up robot junk. Now, quick size comparison, because obviously I've got them right here. So here he is next to the original Voltbot, and there you go. So it's about the same size. And then Miniforce X Voltbot, who, as you can see, is quite a bit longer. And there we go. So there he is, and obviously, let's while we've got them out, this is tricky. And there we go, there's all 3 of the current Voltbot figures. So what to say about this? Obviously it's a big Humvee, it's nice and heavy, pegs together really well. It's got really wheels that roll extremely well. As you can hear, they're not making a noise as such, not rattling or much. So it does roll really well. It's got little details. It's got like rubbery wing mirrors, And it's got weapon storage. He has this big old rifle which plugs into the top of the car. Now there's a port there and the peg there, but it's also got like one of those typical Korean H peg things, and then it just plugs into the top. And obviously certain transforming toy lines, in vehicle mode, you get like the weapon storage where it plugs on top of the vehicle, and in some cases it looks ridiculous. But this guy, he actually pulls it off. I mean, it's colour coordinated with the car, and then you've got the barrel sticking out the front, which sort of matches the black on the hood or the bonnet of the vehicle. So it looks reasonably good. But let's just take that off for a moment. Obviously, the thing can fold away, and again the barrel's made out of a soft rubbery substance. But there's the car mode, and like I said, it's big, it's heavy, it pegs together really well. Looks like a Humvee. I appreciate it. I mean, when you look at the previous ones, I mean, now what I will say, this one is made by Sonocon. These two later ones are made by Gaia. Now, Sonocon, massive experience with building transforming robot toys. I mean, they did the Hello Carbot line, they did the Turning Mech card. They've even made Transformers under license for Takara Hasbro. So they know a thing or two about making transforming robots. And although the aesthetic on this thing isn't that great, the build quality on this thing is superb. The plastic quality, the engineering, everything on it is brilliant. It's a really well made toy. Not so much on this thing. Now this is like the Gaia's first attempt at making a robot toy, and it shows. Badly designed, poor build quality, the fit and finish on it is rubbish. Robot mode, lack of articulation and all that stuff. And the combiner, forget about it, it's absolute garbage. But lack of paint apps as well, because I mean, no paint on the wheels. And there's a knockoff undersized version of this where it's actually got more paint apps on it and they actually bother to paint the wheels. It's anyway. So that's that. Now, then we get onto the new one. Build quality seems better on this. It's still not quite as good as this, but it's definitely better than this. Like I said, it pegs together really well. It's nice and solid. It's got really good rolling wheels. I like the design of the alt mode because, I mean, this looks kind of okay for a futuristic car, but it's got a lot of junk on the back, and the aesthetic's a bit meh. It's probably slightly better than the aesthetic on this, because yeah, wow. But this actually, out of the 3 vehicle modes, I prefer the look of this the best, because it actually looks like, well, it kind of looks like a realistic vehicle, that in being a Humvee. So we've had a look at this. Now, transformation. Transformation's fairly straightforward. It is a Korean toy. Korean toys are fairly intuitive, and now where to start? Now, get these roof pieces. Just unpeg them for now. Does peg together quite firmly, this guy. Then you've got the doors. Sort of unpeg the front doors like so, and then you can start breaking the back up. So you pull the leg out and straighten it up like so. Now you can pull this bit up and then slide these little hip joints down and then push that back down. This is the combiner joint, but well, we'll go into that in a bit. And then you've got the feet. You sort of push the feet out like so. You just push them out, and then that's the legs done. You can fold these bits back down again. Then the arms, fairly straightforward. Now you take this front grille piece, unclip it and then just sort of fold it out of the way for a minute. Then you can take the arms, fold them forwards, and then you sort of concertina them out and then bring them around. You've got to straighten up the fists, and you go around the back and you've got these door pieces which fold around the back of the shoulders. And then finally the grill piece comes down on this link and then clips into the chest, and then there's a little flap on the back. Fold that down, and there is Penta X Vaultbot in his robot mode, and again looks really good. I'll just have to combine the others so I can do a quick comparison. Yeah, right, so quick size comparison. I'll do my usual size comparison. There he is next to Combiner Wars Megatron. So as you can see, he's pretty much a solid leader class scale robot. And then look at him next to the original Vaultbot. Now, like I said, the aesthetic on this, I don't like it that much. I wish I would have gone for either MaxBot or LucyBot from the original line, but because of the way the engineering works on the original Miniforce Combiner, like some of them, you split them in half to form the arms, and the aesthetic on it wasn't that great, and I wasn't really in any way tempted to get it. I just wanted to get one bot from the line. I was umming and ahhing, shall I go for LucyBot, shall I go for MaxBot? Oh no, I'll get Vaultbot. Kind of regret that decision, but it's sort of making sense now that I've got all three of the Vaultbots to show you. But anyway, yeah, original Vaultbot. Aesthetic's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit weird. Fairly basic car format. It's got some parts forming as well. I mean, this chest piece is the spoiler on the car mode. You have to clip it into his chest, and then you have these grey pieces on his shoulders, which sort of stowed away underneath the car mode. And you have to clip them on his shoulders for the robot mode. No parts forming on this guy, fortunately. So that's that. And then you've got Miniforce X Vaultbot. Now, again, aesthetic. This guy doesn't look too bad. He doesn't look too bad in robot mode, but when you start moving him, when you start articulating him, it's like, oh my god, what is this? And it just feels cheap. This one's got a bit more weight to it, and it's got more joints. So yeah, that's just size comparison and aesthetic differences. So what can we say about the new one? Well, again, out of the three, I prefer the look of this one because it's a good looking robot. In fact, I think he kind of looks like this guy. Kind of looks like Hunt for the Decepticons Breacher. I'm just bringing him forward, so you can see the layout of the aesthetic and the colours is pretty similar actually. But trust me, this isn't a patch on this as a toy. This is one of my all-time favourite Transformers moulds. It's easily in my top 5, if not my top 3 favourite bots. I love this thing, the aesthetic on it, the proportions, the way it transforms, the articulation it's got. It's like almost like 10 out of 10 on everything. So I absolutely love him. But this guy, getting back to this guy, I do like the aesthetic. It's really good. Let's just straighten those arms out a little bit. There we go. And he looks okay. Gaia are learning. They're learning. They're putting a little bit more effort into their transforming toys. They're giving them more articulation. They're improving the build quality. They're learning, but they've still got a long way to go to catch up with Sonocon. I mean, the build quality on this thing, I mean, the articulation, I mean, 5 swivels, which are pretty much standard on Sonocon robot figures. Head, it's got ratchets a go-go. It's really well made, and this has got engineering for 2 different combiner modes, a 2-bot combiner and a 4-bot combiner. So it's got all that engineering going on as well, and it still makes a decent robot. This thing, you know, it hasn't even got any working knees because due to the combiner engineering, the knees do that. So yeah, no working knees. And again, the hips barely move, shoulders move. He's got double jointed elbows. He has got a waist joint, but the head doesn't move. You know, it swings and roundabouts with this guy. It's pretty bad on the whole. But this guy, he's all right. So now that we're talking about, you know, we've talked about the aesthetic and done the comparisons with the others, let's look at the articulation. Now he does have a head joint, even though it's stupidly loose. The shoulders go all the way around. Now they are, due to transformation, they're on a joint that does that. And also, if you, it's kind of a butterfly joint on the top of the shoulder, but because of this, if you move that, you can get a little bit of movement, you know, like that. Moving down, he's got double jointed elbows, but due to the way the arms fold up, they're a bit weird. You've got a joint there and a joint there. So the first joint goes to there and the second joint goes to there. So you can get just over 90 degrees with a combination of the two joints, but you can't do the full 90 degrees with just one of the joints. You have to use them, you know, together in concert with one another. Now, moving down to the hips. Now you have got these hip flaps. They do kind of get in the way of the articulation of the hips. He has got skirts that come up at the front. The wheels on his thighs kind of get in the way of these hip flaps when you're moving the legs. Now, as you can see, it's hitting there, and if you push too hard, it will pop this off, but it does pop back on. It's on like a spring-loaded joint. Now, it'll go back to there, but you can, with the extra joints on the knees, you can get the legs back. So you've got a reasonable amount of motion forwards and backwards. Not so much out to the side, that's about as far as it goes, and it's because of the, again, the wheels hitting these pieces up here. Obviously knees, he's got double jointed knees, he's got a joint there and a joint there, so you've got, I mean, that pretty much, I mean, that can go to 90, and then he's got another joint here, so, you know, this guy has got stupid articulation on his knees. And then the feet, nothing on the feet. They got the usual sort of angled cut for neutral A stance. The toes just slide backwards and forwards, so there's not much you can do there. So he's got basic articulation, no intermediate articulation, like no waist joint, no bicep swivels, no thigh joints, no ankle tilts, you know. But he's got the basic stuff, and it works reasonably well. Yes, he has got the combiner thing, which, now you pull that up for the combiner, but it's just a straight tube. There's no articulation in the combiner joint, because when you look where the shoulder is, that's the combiner peg for the shoulder, and the combiner, I'm not going to bother showing you the combiner mode because I haven't got all the bits for it, but it's got no articulation in combiner. It's just a straight chunk of arm. The shoulder's very low on the arm as a whole. There's no elbow joint, there's no bicep swivel, so very limited articulation on the combiner for Penta X. And speaking of Penta X, let's have a quick look at the box. Here's the box. As you can see, it's rather large. Now, as you can also see, the box got crushed in the mail because, you know, as I said with my Sonic Stealth review, the two boxes were overlaid over each other and wrapped up. They got crushed in transit. They also got held in UK customs for over a week before they got delivered, and didn't get a customs hit, and that was a bit weird. I don't know whether they were doing a dry run, you know, storing parcels up to see when we get no deal Brexit in October. You know, everything's going to grind to a halt through UK customs. But then you look on the back, and then you've got, you know, you've got the Penta X combiner. It's big, it looks impressive, but, and then they've got this extra guy Leo to make the 5-bot combiner. I'm not really tempted to go into that. I was sort of they're doing a black version of it, which you can buy for about 250 quid, and I was umming and ahhing about getting that, but I'm not really that bothered. I might get Lucy. I'm probably going to get Lucy next month. The pink cement mixer. I might get Lucy box. So there's the box, and a little quick look at Penta X. So yeah, we're pretty much done with this review. The only other thing, obviously, his gun. Let's now he can hold his gun in his hand. It's very loose. When he's aiming the gun, you have to lift the arm up straight. If you bend the elbow at all, obviously the stock of the gun gets in the way, and you have to sort of tuck it in between his shoulders, and then he's not pointing the gun in a straight line. But I suppose you could angle his head so he can look down the barrel of his gun. Does have storage in... oh yeah, I forgot to push that back down. There we go. It does have weapon storage. Again, you can just plug the gun into the back like that, or if you so want, you can fold that down and then put it in the other way. So at least it has weapon storage in robot mode. So that's good. That's good. They thought of that. So yeah, like I said, Gaia are learning. They're putting a bit more thought and effort into the designing of their toys. It's got more articulation. The build quality has improved over this thing greatly. It's a decent toy. It's fun to mess around with. Nice aesthetic, and both modes look half decent. It's an okay toy, and that's pretty bold statement considering, you know, the junk that I had to review last year when I did the Miniforce X combiner bots, you know, and yeah, all but one of them were absolute rubbish. But no, this is better. So that is that. That's been my review of Miniforce Penta X Vault Bot. I've done a quick comparison with the other two Vault Bots that I've got. Decent toy. Not going to go in for all out with the Penta X combiner. I'm probably going to get Lucy Bot. And I think that's all I've got to say. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review. End of month bot haul coming in a couple of days' time. See you then.